So yeah, so your week started so strongly, with day one. And what I'm curious about, I suppose, is before you came on this support series, I'm just wondering what were you thinking? What were your expectations before you started?
I don't really know. I don't know what I was just at a point where I needed help,
Mm-hmm.
where I just didn't know what I was doing wrong. As it turns out that I just wasn't listening properly. And it just seems so simple now, but
Mm-hmm.
just changing the way that I reacted to my kids and giving them that time to express exactly what they're feeling has made such a big difference. But
Mm.
before I started this, I thought it was going to be this massive thing. It was going to take a lot of time to see change. I thought there was something seriously wrong with my kids. I thought I was the only one that was experiencing this with my kids. I didn't realize there were so many other people out there that had the same sort of experiences.
Mm-hmm. And thank you for sharing that, because that's so great, because often we can think it's just us, but I would say the majority of parents, like all parents, actually experience this, at some point or other. But but it's not talked about that much, and so yeah, and that point that you thought it's going to take a lot of time and effort and energy to change things, which it can for lasting change. It can take a longer period of time. So anybody who's watching this who hasn't had like massive dramatic changes this week, please know that doesn't mean things aren't going to change and things can't change or what have you. It just means it's going to take a little bit more time, and that's okay, and things can change surprisingly quickly when you just find the right fit as well for your child and your family and the family dynamic that you have going on at the moment. When you find that, shifts can happen quite quickly as well. So yeah. So what was your so you've talked a little bit about your reservations that you had. You've told me a little bit about those. What was your sort of biggest takeaway, do you think, over this week?
Just to slow down. I think because of the way my kids were behaving and how I wasn't reacting to them very well, I was becoming more and more stressed and more frazzled. So each time there was a meltdown, it was just straight from 0 to 10 on the scale of tantrums right away.
And how often was that happening? Can I just check in?
Pretty much every day.
Right.
Every day, several times a day. It was really getting quite bad. So yeah, just slowing down and not worrying about having to be there, do this at a certain time, do that at a certain time, and be so regimented and getting so worked up about things. And just taking our time and realizing that none of that actually really matters. My relationship with my kids is what matters. So I need to give them the time.
Yeah, beautiful. So what's the shift from like this Sunday, like last week Sunday before you'd started this, and obviously you had these big emotions happening, meltdowns happening more than once a day, and what have you. How has it been at the end of this week then? What's
it's been a lot better. I have to say today hasn't been great. Both of them were very tired and we've had a lot of sort of almost meltdowns, but I've dealt with it a lot better, so it's stopped it from going to like full-blown meltdowns, and we've managed to kind of ease ourselves out of things a lot better. But as the week, like apart from today, as the week went on, things were just a lot calmer in the house. There wasn't this sort of tension that there's been for months and months on end. It was the atmosphere had changed so much. The kids were happier, I was happier, my husband was happier, and it had just made such a difference. Today was tricky because they were both really, I don't know if it was maybe the full moon, I don't know.
Yeah, it's full moon's day.
Yeah, but they were both very hard to deal with today. but I dealt with it, like I say, so much, just used all the skills through the week.
Yeah.
And tried to kind of find a way to get round the tantrum. And we did. Most of the time we managed, and I feel really pleased that the way that I did manage it, actually, compared to how I would have dealt with it last week.
Amazing. And that's the wonderful thing. I think, you know, what you've mentioned there is that when like having these skills, being able to do this, it doesn't make life circumstances go away, right? Stuff still happens. Our kids still get upset. You know, I think sometimes people come with the goal of they want to stop their children getting upset, right? And it's not about that. It's actually about allowing it to move through. It's about allowing and accepting it so it passes more quickly. And like you say there, Gemma, you know, you nip things in the bud before they escalate, right, into big, full-blown, long, drawn out, everybody feels awful, you know, these explosions. And they will still happen sometimes, but reducing the frequency is massive, you know. So yeah, and it's just been so lovely. Thank you for sharing throughout the week. It's been so lovely seeing your progress through the week. And yeah, and it really helps the group because there'll be people in the group who haven't got started yet, and they don't know if is it worth my time? Is it worth, we're all busy parents, like, is it worth me watching an 8-minute video? You know, time is such a barrier so often for parents. Like, I haven't got time, I haven't got the space, like, it's just another thing to have to do. So what would you say to anybody who is feeling a bit like, I'm not sure this is going to help, I'm not sure this is worth me spending the time?
Well, that's kind of how I felt.
Right.
When, you know, I signed up and I wasn't sure if it was going to work. I wasn't sure if it was worth my time because we're all so busy. But it was worth my time, absolutely.
Yeah.
100 times over.
Brilliant.
Just do it. If you're thinking about it, just do it.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing tonight. And yeah, I really appreciate it. I'm gonna mute you and we'll move on to the next bit now.